How long have you had an address and phone number on him?
How long?
A couple of weeks.
Several weeks.
Of course, the state didn't introduce evidence of occultism as a motive in the crime, Your Honor, even until Tuesday of this week during the trial.
But we had listed an occult expert, and they were aware that that's what he was because I told them that's what he was.
Okay, well, y'all put that in the record. I'm going to let the guy testify.
Judge, we're going to have an opportunity to talk with him and to speak with him before he takes the witness stand.
That's fine. Judge, another thing that we wanted to do today was, we talked to you, Your Honor, earlier in the week about a view at the scene. I don't know if, because of the weather conditions.
I'm not going to grant that motion for several reasons. One is that it's extremely wet, muddy, and distasteful outside, and I suspect that area would be the same. Secondly, is I don't think that any benefit would be gained by it because the foliage would be not anywhere near what it would have been like at the time of the event.
And nobody can be out there pointing anything out to them. All they can do is go out there and walk around.
No. I mean, if y'all all agree, I guess we can load them up in some sheriff's cars.
Is the state objecting to the view?
No, they're not objecting to it. I am.
Your Honor, we do have what we're concerned about is if a view is conducted, I mean, it's my understanding with the rules of review is we don't even go.
No, you don't go, and I'm not going.
And nobody's allowed to point anything out to them. They go walk around. They wouldn't even know where they were.
Well, Judge, the statute allows this procedure, and I think it would.
We're not on the record if you think we're in.
Well, what benefit do you think would be gained by it, though? I mean, at this time of year.
I think the jury would have a chance to see where the state is alleging the crime to have been committed, and the jury certainly is entitled to.
I mean, that's tongue-in-cheek suggesting it happened somewhere else on there.
No, sir, it's not tongue-in-cheek.
No, my Lord.
I think it did.
No, sir.
I really do.
You really think somebody would haul 3 naked bodies in with the shoestrings out of their shoes?
I think it's certainly possible, Judge.
And then throw the shoes, if they remove the shoestrings into time and stick their clothes in the mud, too? I mean, that's absurd.
We think it's absurd that murders took place out there because there's no blood at the crime scene.
Okay.
Our other, we got another witness that we don't see here yet.
You said you had 5.
All right, and then Chris Morgan is another one. And
No, you said you had 5.
I mean, I'm not, we're not on the record right now. I'm not making any official rulings. I'm just not inclined to do it just because I don't think there'd be much to be gained by it. You got adequate photographs. The foliage isn't anywhere near what it would have been. It's going to be muddy as the devil out there. You can't even get to the spot unless you walk across that pipe. Yeah. I mean, I'd have to send a deputy sheriff with what do you take? You'd take 3 cars, I guess, and more than that. You're not going to get to go.
No, what I'm saying. I don't want to get these 2 cars.
How long have you had the vita and the credentials and everything of this expert that you were going to call?
Well, probably a week.
Judge, what is so unfair about this is we supply in our discovery a copy of all the credentials, and then our guys blast it out of the water based on all the research they did on his credentials. They give us a name and a town and don't even list him as in.
They don't want you to find the mail order house.
Huh?
They don't want you to find the mail order house.
Well, I realize it's kind of humorous if you aren't the one that's going to be up there trying to cross-examine a guy that you didn't even know was an expert, had no information on their witness list, was an expert, didn't have any address. They've had his credentials in their possession and never provided any of that information to us. And on the morning that they're going to call him, they first mention that they're going to call an expert in the occult and don't even and tell us the address. I mean, Your Honor,
I recognize it's a little bit unfair.
Well, it's a concerted effort to keep his identity from us and the identity of an expert from us until the very last second, so that we can't do what's appropriate.
I agree with you. I think you ought to make a record on it.
Well, you know what that record's worth to the state.
Well,
it's worth about 10 cents in cup of coffee.
It's worth something. It shows that it's a 2-sided street and that they didn't necessarily go down the same lane you did.
maybe they don't think a violation. That they didn't listen properly.
That's why it's helpful.
I'm not witness to it, I'm not.
Well, I mean, we're not making a record now anyway.
Here, Scott, take this exculpatory evidence.
That was it was sent here to the
Federal
clerk's
Express.
office.
Oh man, let me see it. I've been getting all that stuff. Now they're mailing it direct to y'all.
And they know you're not doing anything with it, Judge. They know we'll do something about it.
You know what it is, don't you?
Let me see it.
To be honest, I don't know what it is. There's a document phenomenon. Yeah, people put yours. It is a phenomenon.
Like dogs, man. What's the deal? Yesterday at 5 witnesses today.
One of them they're counting is the guy that can't testify today. One of them they're listing as the guy who's not going to be available to testify until Monday. And one of them is expert that they tell us about this morning.
See, we tried to find him on TV. Robert Rich.
Sir.
You know, I don't know exactly what seems to be shaking down, but I just wanted the court to be aware that Brent and I discussed this, sort of not knowing exactly what was going to happen with Damien's case, and that it was our agreement that no matter what shook down, that we would be ready to go on Monday, and if there was a void in time, that was agreeable with Brent for us to start Monday.
It won't matter to me at 2 o'clock. I just soon watch the basketball game anyway, so I'm not here.
I just don't want to told yesterday we put all those witnesses a week now. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I don't know either.
So I'm just saying is we don't want an appearance that we're not prepared or whatever, because it was understood that we start Monday.
Judge, and the other thing is, I mean, I don't know how much time it's going to take for this expert, but I think the court should grant us leave to take whatever time is necessary to discuss with him, since we ain't even been given
I'm going to give you
and to give
time to interview
give the
him.
court an idea. There was the name in Richmond, Virginia, and we checked Richmond, Virginia, and there was 10 listings for Robert Hicks.
Are you going to use a prosecutor's subpoena on him?
I don't think so. I'm just going to grab him and drag him into the back room.
Okay. Where's Val? The shades on? Well, see, I don't guess they've ever been opened. I guess we can try to pull them. I wouldn't pull those. I'd pull those. It'd be all right. We'll get the janitor to come do it later. Where did Val and
Judge, who does Kentucky play today?
what?
Who does Kentucky play today? Is it South Carolina? I don't know who they're playing today.
They play the winner of Tennessee and Mississippi State. Do you know where? Witness.
Judge, we call John Mark Byers to the stand.
Where is he?
Did y'all let him know you were gonna call him again?
Not specifically that, no, he's understated.
Your Honor, Mr. Byers said something to me yesterday about a closing on a house or something. And I was gonna talk to Mr. Davis, and I forgot all about it, and I don't know whether that has anything to do with, he's been here just about every day, I think.
We could call him on Monday, Your Honor.
That'd be fine, Judge.
All right. Call your other witness.
Your Honor, our next witness is the witness that been delayed in Atlanta, the airport.
Would you have any others?
We've got another one on the way from Forest City.
Anybody else?
The other one that could not be called yesterday and nor today, that
I thought y'all said yesterday.
the court, we pared it
You don't
down,
want
try
that.
to pare it down a little bit.
Well, Your Honor, we do have something that we probably need to take up outside the presence of the jury. I mean, if there's nothing else to,
That's fine.
then there's gonna be a delay anyway.
Are we gonna have one witness for all day?
No, we had three.
No, but we're gonna have one. That's what it amounts to.
No, we've got
We've got
two
two.
for sure, Judge. And the other matter that we discussed with you,
Well, when are they gonna be here?
well, one was supposed to be here if he didn't have plane problems at 10 o'clock, and the plane has been delayed. He left Atlanta to fly in from Atlanta. He should be here at 11 o'clock, which is just 1 hour delay from when we thought he was going to be.
All right, and what about the other witnesses coming from Forest City, did you
Yes.
say?
I just called his place of business, and they said he left at like at 8:30 because he had to.
And who is that witness? Who is
Marty
that?
King. is
Marty
his name.
King.
Yeah.
Is that the Bojangles?
Yes, sir. He's the manager of Bojangles on May the 5th.
Well, we may get to watch the basketball game after all. All right, I'm gonna ask that you step back into the back room, and you're not to discuss the case.
Judge, we may need to have a conference with the court back here.
Okay.
Restaurant manager.
And were you also managing a restaurant on May 5th and May 6th of 1993?
Yes, sir.
And where was that?
In West Memphis. It was the Bojangles restaurant.
In West Memphis, Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
And where is that restaurant located?
It's on North Missouri Street.
In West Memphis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. About how far from the interstate would that be?
Less than a half a mile.
Okay. And were you working at Bojangles Restaurant on the evening of May 5th of 1993?
Yes, sir.
And on that evening, was there something unusual that occurred there at the restaurant?
Yes, sir, there was.
Could you tell us what happened?
Well, it was about 9:30 at night. Lady and her daughter came in to order some supper, I guess it was for them. We took her order, and the lady said that she needed to take her daughter to the restroom, so I told her it was right around the corner. She immediately came back around, and I asked her if there was a problem, and she said, yes, sir, there's a gentleman in the women's restroom. I said, okay, I'll go check it out. And at the time, I found a black gentleman sitting in the women's restroom on the commode with his head in his lap.
Could you describe the man?
I later found that he was probably about 5'8", 5'9", somewhere in that area. About 165 pounds, real thin man.
Tell us about his appearance.
He was, like I said, had his head in his lap, and there was blood dripping off of his forearm. And there was blood on the wall as far as where he had leaned up against the wall, maybe staggered in. But he had mud on his feet, and he seemed to be disarrayed when I talked to him. He raised up and kind of slurred that he was all right. And I gave him a few more minutes to come on out, and he never did, so I went back and checked on him again, and I called the police then.
So you called the police and asked them to come down there?
Yes, sir.
Did the police actually come to Bojangles Restaurant?
Yes, sir, they did.
And do you recall what officer came?
It was a female officer for the West Memphis Police Department, and she pulled on the light, and I saw her coming, so I went up to the front door. Well, she kept coming around. She went to the drive-through window.
Okay. Did she ever come into the restaurant to look inside the restaurant?
No, sir.
And what happened then?
I told her what the problem was, and that the gentleman had previously left the restaurant walking, and she basically got a description and left the restaurant.
Did she ever come back to the restaurant that evening?
No, sir.
Have you ever talked with her since then?
No, sir. Not about that subject.
Okay. Did you know her?
No, sir. I just know her by sight.
Okay. Now, describe for us, did you go back into that lady's restroom that evening?
Yes, sir. We had to clean it up.
What was in there?
Well, like I mentioned, there was blood, mud. Gentleman had wasted a whole roll of toilet tissue by soaking up blood or grabbing for it or something, because he had used the restroom all over himself and sat in it. So I assumed that he was trying to clean himself up, but it had blood all over it. There was
over the toilet paper?
Yes, sir.
Describe that toilet paper roll for us.
Well, it was saturated all the way down to the cardboard roll.
So what did you do with that roll of toilet paper?
I just threw it in the garbage at that time.
Was there anything else in there?
Yes, sir. There was a pair of sunglasses that evidently he had apparently tried to flush down a commode.
Okay. What did you do with those sunglasses?
Just fished them out and throw them in the garbage also.
Okay. And then, was there mud in there?
Yes, sir. There was quite a bit of mud on the floor.
How did you clean this up?
Well, we drug a water hose around and washed it out.
Is that the normal way for you doing that?
No, sir. It would normally be just swept up and mopped, but there was a large amount of mud on his feet and that was on the floor, so we just washed it down the drain.
Okay. And the blood, did you say it was on the wall?
Yes, sir. There was some on the above the commode on the wall. Maybe looked where like he had leaned up against the wall because it looked like to be the impression of a forearm.
And was there blood other places also?
There was some blood on the floor, like I said, beside the commode where he was sitting. There was some on the doorknob and in the hallway where he had left also.
Okay. And did you ever see this man again?
No, sir.
Okay. Did any officer, not the officer that drove through the drive-through, but did any other officer come out there that evening?
Not that evening.
Were you working on the day of May 6th of 1993?
Yes, sir. I opened that morning.
And did anything occur on that day?
Well, an off-duty officer came in and by the name of Billy Covington, a friend of mine, and I was telling him about the event that had happened the night before, and kind of struck him in a strange way. And he said, "Don't clean that blood off the door handles or off the wall or anything, and I'll get back with you in a little while."
Okay. And then what happened?
Later on that afternoon, 2 detectives came out and they took a report as far as what I'd seen, description of the gentleman, and then they took blood scrapings off the wall in the women's restroom, off the men's door in the hallway, and off the wall in the hallway.
Was that Detectives Ridge and Allen?
Yes, sir.
And could you describe their appearance that day?
Well, they had been at, I later found out that they had been at the crime scene and had been wading in mud and water up to their knees. And one of them asked me, he said, "Did the man appear to have muddy feet like mine?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Because we've been out there all morning long in the water and the mud," and was just asking if his looked like the gentleman's that I'd seen. And I told him, "Yes, sir," that they were muddy like that also.
Okay. Now, was there a discussion with Detectives Ridge and Allen about the sunglasses?
Well, I had told them about them, and they asked me what I did with them, and I told them I threw them in the garbage, and we fished them out, and they took them with them.
They took them with them?
Yes, sir.
What about the roll of toilet paper that had been soaked down to the core with the blood?
I told them about that also, and they said that we didn't need that.
So they didn't need it?
No, sir. Said you just discard that.
Have you ever heard from Detectives Ridge, Detective Allen, or any other person about this since then?
No, sir.
That's all I have.
Any questions? Do you cross-examination?
Yes, sir. Mr. King, if you'd step down to the map, face exhibit 2. Could you take this red marker and let me acclimate you with this corner where we are here? Here's the interstate system right here. This is the railroad track that goes through West Memphis. This is Missouri Street. This is Balfour, Missouri Street right. You can take this marker and mark approximately where Bojangles would be. All right, now, in behind your business, the next thing that comes in behind your business, what structure is there? The next thing behind your business?
There's a ditch then by the railroad tracks.
All right.
This railroad track right here?
Yes, sir.
And is it before you get to the railroad tracks or on the other side? Where's the ditch? Which side is the ditch
Well,
on?
there's a small ditch on our side, which would be facing Missouri.
Okay,
And
on
then
the-
you'd have to go through it to cross over the railroad
And on
tracks.
the other side of the railroad tracks, isn't it true there's a big ditch that runs through there?
I haven't personally been over there, but, could be.
You hadn't seen that when you've driven down the, Service Road? Didn't ever pay attention to what's behind there?
No, there was an open field.
Okay, all right. But there is a ditch and there's a railroad track right behind your business, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when, if you would mark with the red marker that railroad track. Okay, that's good. All right, now isn't it true that in this area, this is open field?
Yes, sir.
All right. And over here, all this is open field?
Yes, sir.
All right. And over in here, all this is open field?
Going back to the trailer park, yes, sir.
All right. You can retake this thing. In fact, right in behind your business, you've got the ditch, the railroad track, and you've got a strip of trees along the railroad track. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when you say that the muddy shoes look like the man who'd been in there, are you saying that the mud came from the same place?
No, sir.
You mean muddy shoes are muddy shoes?
Muddy shoes are muddy shoes to me.
Okay. All right. And you don't know where the mud came from?
I don't know where it came from, where he came from that night. I
And
didn't even see him come into the restaurant.
Okay. And in fact, you don't even know that those sunglasses are his, do you?
I didn't see him wearing them.
Okay. Now, when you went in there, you found him in the women's restroom?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you said that he appeared to be disarrayed?
Yes, sir. When I spoke to him, he raised up like he didn't know where he was at and slurred. Yeah, I'm okay.
Like disoriented?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in fact, he left blood and mud all over that restroom, right?
Yes, sir.
He left it on the wall and on the floor, on the doorknob,
Yes, sir.
out in the hall.
It wasn't actually on the hall floor. It was on the hall wall where he might have staggered.
Okay. And y'all cleaned that up, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all tried to clean it all up, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And that was before Detective Ridge and Allen arrived, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So y'all had made efforts to clean it all up before they ever came, right?
Yes, sir, because they came the next night.
All right. Now, when Patrolman Meek came to the drive-in window, were you aware that she was trying to find 3 missing 8-year-old boys?
No, sir.
Okay. And when she came there, this person wasn't there anymore, isn't that right?
Yes, sir. He had already left.
So what we've got after this man left is we don't have an area that just has a few little drops of blood, but you've got blood and mud all over the place, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Mr. King, if you could step down one more time. You may want to look at this for a minute. This is the interstate along here. Which direction would Missouri Street be? If the testimony's been that this is the pipe that goes across the 10-mile bayou, and this is the blue beacon, these are the woods here. Missouri Street will be back over here. Okay, does it run parallel with this street? Yes. So the field that Mr. Fogelman referred to right
Missouri Street is this Missouri?
Yes, sir.
This is Missouri Street. So the field that he was pointing to, is that this field right here? That's not right?
That's the Missouri Railroad track.
That's Missouri Pacific. Where is Missouri Street? Oh, okay, here's the interstate, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this is Missouri Street right here.
this is Missouri Street, and Bojangles would be this dot right here?
Yes, sir, from the interstate.
And you're saying this field is between, is this, do you know what street this is?
Looks like 7th Street. I don't know.
Okay, would that be this street that we see on the map here? If that is 7th Street?
Yes, sir. There's the apartments, their apartment complex over here.
Okay. So, in other words, you're saying that there is one field here between Missouri Street where Bojangles is and what we see on this picture. Is that correct?
Well, actually,
Think
between 7th Street and the railroad track, there's one. But then behind the truck stop here, there's another behind the apartment complex.
Okay, behind the apartment complex, there's a field here.
Yes, sir.
And here's the woods. Okay. If, so from Blue Beacon, truck stop, and then this is where the field begins that goes to Missouri Street. Is
Yes,
that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Now, even though you tried to clean it up, Detective Ridge did take scrapings, didn't he?
Yes, sir. He took a pocket knife and
Okay.
scraped it into an envelope.
And you tried to give him that toilet paper roll that was soaked to the core, but he didn't take that, did he?
No, sir, he didn't.
Did they take any soil samples out of the drain?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all. Anything else?
No.
Did you see the man leave?
Yes, sir. I saw him leave.
Was he on foot or in a vehicle?
Yes, sir. He was on foot.
You see which direction he went?
When he went out to the restaurant, he went toward the back of the building, which would be going toward the ditch, but then left on foot down Missouri Street.
All right. Anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, you're free to go.
Is he released, Your Honor?
As far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we can approach the next witness is the one that was having the plane problems, and our latest word is he will be here about noon time. I know it's close to noon
Oh, it's
recess.
quit until 1 o'clock then.
And then-
How long will it take on him? Is that the last witness you got?
That's the last one we can call today. And I know Mr. Davis wanted to talk with him some before he testified.
Well, if he
also.
gets here at noon, then give one a time.
That's why, or even 1:15 might give us a little bit.
Yeah, but that's cut into the basketball game if we're gonna be able to.
I'd like to see it too, Judge, but I don't want to have
Well,
to
no.
be unarmed.
I'm gonna say 1 o'clock, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, apparently we have one additional witness that will be available for today, and then we'll be able to recess for the day. I'm going to give you the noon break until 1 o'clock with the usual admonition not to discuss the case. You may stand in recess until 1 o'clock.
At some point, want to put on the record about our request for the view. When we do that
I hadn't
earlier.
really decided
Oh, okay.
on that. I mean, all of y'all seem to want to do it. I'm not sure, I mean, how we do it and
Okay, all right, well,
or when we do it.
what we were thinking about today, but I don't know if it's too muddy.
I think it'd be muddy as the devil out there. Have you seen the ground?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
well,
you can't, I mean,
that's true.
I just think
And,
it'd be,
if it dries up over the weekend, if Monday,
we might do it
okay,
then.
okay.